I know that you want to start a membership to make your life easy and make your schedule way more flexible and more freeing. And the last thing you want is to get saddled with a whole bunch of extra admin, right? So today I'm going to share with you content tools to make running your membership really easy and really sustainable. All right, let's dive in. In case you don't know me, I'm Lisa Princic. I'm a membership coach, and I help people build thriving, lasting memberships that take their brilliance and zone of genius and turn it into amazing outcomes for people while still able to live a sustainable, fulfilling life. We all know that we want to do work we love. And sometimes we find ourselves repeating ourselves by working with one-on-one clients and realizing that we could grow our businesses as well as make a bigger impact and just reach more people through a membership program. But the thing we don't want to do is create a massive headache project where all we're doing is creating content and doing way more admin work. So I'm going to share with you how I have set up my program and also just different considerations that you need to think about when you are trying to figure out how to piece everything together. So I want to talk about the two kinds of people you're dealing with in your business. You are dealing with members and non-members. Like perhaps you have a whole bunch of course materials, shop items, and other things that you've sold in different ways. You've got to consider, do you really want to start a whole brand new one for your membership? So if you already have a bunch of materials and trainings housed somewhere, it is really convenient to have them the same as for your members for a few different reasons. You will probably sell a number of things in your shop or a lot of smaller products to people before you start your program over the years, or even free things that people have signed up for. And if they're accessing those on a membership site, then it's really convenient to have people already logged into your site or your business when they join the membership and not have to come up with a whole new set of logins and URLs to remember to access your membership content. So think about the fact that you might have people who are in both categories and move from non-members, but have also consumed your stuff to members. And the other convenient thing about that is that I know inside the Scaling Deep Society, I want to give my members everything I create. So when I'm doing something like a paid training or a webinar or an extra piece of content that isn't really designed for my members, but it's still really valuable content for them, I can easily add that training or course or workshop to the bundle for my members, and they can get instant access to it simply by pressing a toggle on it, and then they get added to that. So I don't have to re-add the course and put it in a separate place for my members. They can get access to it with a really simple step. So I use Zenler for my course platform. Part of the reason why I started on that because it had rave reviews, it was simple, easy, and it was also very inexpensive. And so that's one of the things you want to think about is how much are you looking for an all-in-one solution, or how much are you trying to piece together the things that you already use in your business? Because one of the things I also want to share is that you can totally piece together your membership. It could be very seamless, having an all-in-one solution for your forum, for your events, for your courses, for your email list, for your payment. That might not be realistic because it might mean that you end up with two sets of everything because you've already invested in a lot. So I want to share with you a few handy tools to make it all work together really easily. So I use Thrivecart, and I have had that for a long time. That is what I use to invoice all my clients, all my members, all my products. Everything is purchased through an invoicing form using Thrivecart. That was a one-off payment that I made in probably 2016 that doesn't cost me any more to use, and I really enjoy it. One of the reasons why I like it is that it connects directly to MailerLite, which is my email platform that I use to do all of my emails to my list, all my sales emails, all my automations, everything. And I know how to use it really well, and it doesn't make sense for me to change it. It's also very inexpensive. So when someone makes a purchase, they are seamlessly added to a group in MailerLite, and then they can receive automations that either nurture them to take the next step or just shares with them that, yes, in fact, you have made the purchase. Thanks for joining. I'm really excited. So that happens instantly, and I love that. But now, because I use all these other tools, so I'm using Heartbeat for my community forum, and I also have a private podcast, which I love because that really helps my members stay on top of what I'm teaching, either inside my Q&A calls or special trainings inside the Scaling Deep Society, or even in my twice monthly behind the scenes episodes that I share what's happening for me that are just private ones in that podcast. So that would seem like a lot of admin, except for the fact that I use Zapier, and Zapier is a brilliant tool that where you don't have a direct integration between two pieces of software, it will just link them all together. So once people make the purchase, they get zapped into Heartbeat, they get zapped into Hello Audio, which is what I'm using for my private podcast, and they get zapped into Zenler. And they now have access in a minute to all of the things that they need to have inside my membership. So whether or not they want to jump into the community and introduce themselves and peruse around, or they're really excited to start the membership school program inside, they can directly access that. They can choose. And then, of course, I have an onboarding sequence, which really helps to direct them to what I think is the most critical pieces of getting them actively using the content and engaged right away. That's important for me. So every single one of my emails has a really simple but clear call to action to go and use the thing. And I've never found it difficult to have everyone get into everything. They're usually really eager to get the content and to check in and say hi, and they usually do that right away. So that's never, ever been an issue. One of the things you might want to think too is that there is so much software and technology in our businesses that there's just more and more apps and things to make our life easier. And it's unrealistic to think that down the road, we're never going to need to zap. And that's what one of my tech colleagues always likes to say, is that eventually you're going to need to zap something together because not everything integrates naturally. And you're going to probably want to add more things. So trying to get to that all-in-one solution that maybe has the community with the courses, with the payments, with the meeting times and events, and all the things you need might be unrealistic. I love having a private podcast because that allows people who can't make the calls, but really want to still stay connected to their dream of growing a six-figure membership, can still listen wherever they are and in the world and in whatever they're doing. And I think for busy people, that's a really huge benefit. And I hear over and over again that they're always listening and they really appreciate it. So that, again, most course platforms or membership sites don't have private podcasts associated with them at this point. So if you want to do things like that, that make your life really easy and make it so much more valuable for your members, then you're going to have to loop that together somehow anyway, right? So again, trying to find something that has it all is probably unrealistic. So you can decide if you want to piece together what you have and already love, or what can then maybe take over for something that you weren't as happy with. That's really a personal decision, and everyone's going to be in a completely different circumstance. So that brings me to the decision around, do you want to have a course platform that's connected to a really robust community? Or are you thinking about having a community that's really specially designed for that? Like Facebook is very community oriented and it is free, but it's a little hard to manage because you can't even zap to Facebook. So Facebook is a very much a manual ad, and you'll have to consider that. If you've got a high volume membership or lots of ins and outs, that's going to be a little bit more cumbersome to do administratively. And I have to admit, one of the things I really wanted in my membership was light on admin. I wanted things to be really easy and seamless for me. So I did make some of my tech decisions based on the fact of having it be like really, really simplified and outside of places like Facebook where you don't have as much control over what's going on and what they see, right? So I actually first started my membership because I was doing a total beta program. I started it on Zenler, and believe it or not, it was free at the time. I don't know if it's still free for people who want to get started or if I just happened to slip into something. But I did end up getting charged a couple of years later. I'm sure I had enough people in there that it just made sense, or I was reaching a threshold. But I started for free, and I also started Slack. I had another client who had been in a membership community using Slack for years and loved it. She thought it was like a really good setup. And so I thought, well, why not try it? And actually, I really did like Slack. It was an excellent way to stay engaged, and people really did use it because they're used to using it. However, what I found really, really challenging was the events, because there wasn't a place to create events in the forum. And I had to then send out email reminders to people to remind them to show up and when they were, and make sure they subscribe to the calendar. So what I love about Heartbeat, when I switched over, I'd heard enough rave reviews about that. I ended up getting in a great lifetime deal, but even at that, it's still a lot less expensive than a lot of the other platforms that have all-in-one solutions like Mighty Network and Circle. And I didn't need the course part of it. So I thought, why not jump in? And it's been great. And the thing I love about it, other than I love the way it looks and the setup of it, it also houses my headquarters. So when people need to find anything anywhere, they can go into Heartbeat and find it, because it links to all the courses in Zenler. I have a roadmap in there. I have a how to use this membership guide, or how to use Heartbeat guide. It's all in there. And so it really is my main source. And it's also where I create events. So everyone can get invited and then notified of the events. They get email reminders that are set up in the event section, and I don't have to worry about reminding people to show up. They can still subscribe to the calendar in Google or iCal. It does actually integrate with that, which is fantastic. So it's all seamless for people who are really on it. But I don't have to worry about people just not coming because they're not seeing it. And that would be heartbreaking to me. And it would also be really hard for me to create a system of sending reminder emails 15 minutes before every meeting or a day before every meeting. It would end up being like a lot of extra special emails that I'd have to write every month. So I talked about it needing to be seamless. Well, it is seamless for me, and it gives me way more time that I can actually create great content for my members and work on also sales and marketing, which is all about bringing more great members in so everyone can benefit from that. And we end up with really great conversations on the Q&A calls when we get new members in with different kinds of questions and different experiences. It's really adds value to it. So the other piece I really like about it is the app. It has an app for the phone, and let's face it, lots of people these days are on their phone. Tons of people check into memberships via phone. And so if your platform has an app associated with it, and many do, they're going to be able to tap into the notifications, get the reminders, and check in just really upon a glance of what's happening inside your community. That makes life really easy for you and really easy for them, and ensures that they get the content when they need it. So those are some simple ways of really making sure that you can run your membership on super light admin. Now, at the other end of it, what isn't as easy is taking people out of everything. So I have a lot of people who are lifetime members, and that is amazing for me because, again, it cuts down the admin, and they're investing long-term into support, and which means that they can disappear for a few months and come back and still get something that they really need. So it's just an opportunity for me to be their trusted guide for long term, which I love because I love watching their journey over time and staying in their worlds long enough to help see them grow and be there for them when they need it. But there are still a bunch of people who are on like monthly or annual plans. And yeah, if they leave, I do have to take them out of everything. But I do have standard operating procedures written out that my assistant wrote down and I helped her with. And I can just say, this person's canceling, and she can go in and spend like 5 minutes taking them out of all these places. And it does not take very long. The most important part is getting them in right away. And then usually when someone is canceling or moving on, they're doing it weeks in advance, and we can just schedule it take them out on this day. And if there's more than one person, it can be done at the same time. And that really doesn't take a lot of time, nor is it as urgent. If we are late a few days, then somebody joining the program and wanting immediate access, like as is promised. It's very exciting when you first join a program, especially if it isn't like a really low ticket. You want to get access to it right away. You feel a little bit anxious about the investment. Sometimes you might even be doubting it. So you want them to have a good experience. And that's why I find however you can get them into everything with Zapier or your all-in-one solution, that is going to be ideal. So those are all the tools that I use to run my membership, and probably most of the tools I use to run any kind of transaction in my business. I mean, yes, there's Boxer and extra things like that for different programs and more private, personalized work, but the essentials really are those. And that's what keeps my membership running smoothly. That's what makes it a really like light lift of a few hours a week for me. And I just wanted to share this because I also didn't want you to feel like you had to worry about trying to find a place that meets all of your needs, or trying to figure out how to make this way less administratively heavy. Because if you have a high volume, lower ticket membership, which a lot of them are, you could end up spending so much of that return on admin support to make sure it all gets done that it might not even be worth it. So you've got to try to make that as seamless and as streamlined as possible. If you're interested in learning more about the tools that I use to run my business and membership efficiently, then head on over to scalingdeep.com/resources, where you can see all the things in my marketing and membership toolbox, as well as get direct links to everything I mentioned today. If you enjoy this episode and you don't want to miss one, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you real soon. Bye for now.